Splinter Cell, a beloved series for a lot of stealth game fans, a series that we've been waiting 7 years now for a new release. But do you remember why you loved it? Have you gone back and played the original game from where it all started? Well, I have, and I'm here to tell you if the game has aged well and if it is still fun to play today. So if you don't know, Splinter Cell is a stealth action game, as it is outlined right in the title. It was released in 2002. You play as Sam Fisher, a covert ops vet who was tasked with some top secret missions handed down to him from the NSA. Now, Sam Fisher was the first person recruited into the Splinter Cell program, which was created by the Third Echelon, which is kind of a branch of the NSA who fights the information war. So that can be a lot of gibberish, but basically you're just a badass secret agent with a shit ton of top tier technology, and you're tasked to secretly fight bad guys without getting caught. Now, Splinter Cell was originally developed by Ubisoft, but it wasn't for a game called The Drift, which was a game that they were originally working on. We would have never seen this franchise. Before Splinter Cell entered into development, Ubisoft was working on The Drift, and this game was another futuristic third-person shooter, but it never met the light of day because of the lackluster prototype that was presented. So as all great game developers do, they went to plan B, and that plan B was to try to take down one of the most popular game franchises around, Metal Gear Solid. Getting the thumbs up to go ahead and work on Splinter Cell, they next went and seek the approval from the famous novelist Tom Clancy, and they started the development of the brand new stealth action game that has now become a staple in the stealth genre. So as I sat down to replay Splinter Cell, a game that I fondly remembered playing on the original Xbox, I started to think to myself, is this just nostalgia, or is this a game that really is still great today? Because there are a lot of games during that generation of consoles, the Xbox, the PS2, and the GameCube, that are still very good and still hold up very well. And I was wondering if Splinter Cell is one of those games. So let's start off by looking at the graphics. I think that the graphics in Splinter Cell running on the original Xbox or on PC are actually really good. They actually blew my mind a little. The lighting effects were probably some of the best of the generation, but the funny thing is the way the lighting is used, I think still holds up today and still makes this game really enjoyable to discover. You really need to use the lighting to hide and to clean up your tracks when taking out an enemy, and graphically there's no mistaking where you are hiding or where you can hide things and when you can and cannot be seen. Besides that, the environments still look good and the explosions aren't as dated as you would expect. I found myself at times thinking, wow, is this really an original Xbox game? Is this really a game that was released all this time ago? There's a lot of great stuff in here, and I just think that overall you can play this game and you'll still have a great look visually. Now obviously for a game that was released in 2002, there are some big differences between the way it looks and the way games look today, but in general the graphics don't take away from the experience, they actually only add to it and make it enjoyable. Now gameplay is a little tricky. For me, right off the bat, I would say that there are many things that frustrated me, but it's kind of a weird frustration. It isn't that frustration that makes you want to really throw your controller in rage and then never go back and play that game again. It's more of a frustration that gets you so pissed off that you want to break your controller, but instead you display self-control because you'd much rather keep playing the game. Now I know that might not make any sense, but let me explain. Splinter Cell gameplay-wise is definitely a game from the early 2000s. Nothing and nobody is holding your hand through this experience. You are always left guessing on where you need to go, what you need to climb, and where enemies could potentially be lurking. It really brings you back to how games were before they essentially became guided tours. You play games today, especially open world games or games where you kind of explore areas. There's waypoints, there's compasses, there's maps, and pretty much everything you need in order to easily find where you need to go. And a lot of that is not in Splinter Cell. So as you enter a mission, you are given a debrief of why you are where you are, and that is pretty much it. You need to determine how you can traverse through each section. This can be climbing up pipes, crawling through vents, hanging off of edges. I mean, you get the point. You can do a bunch of crazy stuff. There's no waypoint to tell you where to go and what areas you need to visit. As you are traversing, you will need to be aware of the guards and the enemies to make sure that you aren't seen. Levels also have certain parameters, and being seen just once can sometimes result in a mission failure. So you can really see how difficult that can be if you're seen once and you have to restart the entire mission, but there's nothing indicating really where enemies are. You really just have to use your hearing and your surroundings and your vision to kind of take a guess or to be really sneaky so that you're not seen. It can make the game extremely difficult. Now this is backed up with great sound design, and it really helps with the experience. And on top of that, the lighting is also very vital. You really need to use the dark spots and the different lit areas to make sure that you're still being incognito. There will be lots of trial and error in each level. You will fail, but you will want to try again. And for me, that is the sign of a fun game. On top of that, Michael Ironside, who plays Sam Fisher, does a great job to really make you care about the character. and he has a slew of great one-liners. Now, what I disliked about playing this game in 2020 is really just the gunplay. The gunplay itself does not age well at all. It isn't satisfying to shoot an enemy, and when you do shoot an enemy, it may take multiple shots to kill them, even if your reticle is perfectly placed. Now, this is a mechanic that doesn't age well, but it is also a mechanic that I believe is done on purpose to really encourage you to use your pistol as little as possible. The game is about stealth. The game is about not being seen and taking out enemies silently and then hiding their bodies. You really want to go up and you want to melee the enemies from behind, or you want to choke them out from behind more so than using your pistol. At the end of the day, Splinter Cell is a game from 2002. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles of the current stealth games, obviously. The game can be frustrating if you're expecting to be directed where to go and how to complete each mission, but it is still a lot of fun to play. The joy comes from discovering what you can do better on each attempt through each mission, and the gameplay is still good enough that controlling Sam Fisher in the shadows of the environments is very satisfying. Splinter Cell has definitely aged well, and I would recommend playing this if you are interested in a stealth game experience. So that's it for me today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new to this channel, leave a comment down below about what you think about Splinter Cell, and hey, leave a comment down below about other games you would like to see me test out to see if they age well, and I'll catch you in the next video.